Today, we continue our coverage of LaTrice's story, her journey to recovery.
We're so thankful to have her back with us. LaTrice joins us now with more on the life-saving role of her medical team, what they played in getting her back to us. LaTrice.
Well, Greg and Michelle, I cannot say enough about the medical team of EMTs, emergency room staff, doctors, and ICU trauma nurses who helped save my life. They are truly the best anyone could ask for. But not only are they incredible medical professionals, but their level of compassion and care truly makes a difference. Getting back to this point wasn't easy.
I remember the first time you came back after being in the hospital, I didn't even recognize you because it was such a profound difference.
I love you.
In addition to a miracle, I had a lot of help.
You were one of those people that I was like, man, if we can get this lady back, she is going to be an amazing story.
It started out as a typical Sunday. I was getting ready for church, and the next thing I knew, I found myself on my kitchen floor. I looked up and the room was spinning. I wasn't sure what was going on. I grabbed my cell phone and called one of my good friends, Deidre, who kept me on the line and called 911. She and her family were soon at my home, along with firefighters and EMT. From there, things get fuzzy, and I don't remember much about the next 3 weeks.
I don't think you remember how sick you were. You don't remember that your family really was there.
I didn't really remember, so I wanted to sit down with the medical team who helped save my life. Seeing them and hearing from them was both surreal and very emotional. The trauma ER staff was the first to see me that day.
I was down there actually seeing a different patient, and I got pulled in by one of the ER nurses going, hey, there's a really, really sick lady in 17. Can you go lay eyes on her? I said, absolutely.
So he did. A CAT scan showed there was tons of blood in my abdomen.
We got you back to the ER, we fired massive blood resuscitation, and that's my job as well. We started that up, and you responded very, very well, actually, to the blood.
But I was still in critical condition.
Your case was sufficiently complicated that when I went to evaluate you, you were actively being, several teams were involved in your care, and there was quite a crowd of people trying to take care of you.
The clock was ticking on what was known as the golden hour.
Particularly after traumatic injuries, if we can get a patient stabilized enough and get them into our care within an hour, we can treat most life-threatening traumatic injuries pretty effectively outside of head injuries.
Thankfully, the ER staff was able to get me stabilized and thought to call in the ECMO team.
ECMO stands for extracorporeal membrane oxygenation.
Simply put, the ECMO machine replaces the function of the heart and lungs.
It was pretty obvious to me at that point that that clot was obstructing the blood flow forward to your lungs, so you had right heart failure from those clots.
I was stabilized enough to undergo surgery. I had a total of 7 surgeries.
We did what's called a damage control procedure. We did everything we could to stop the bleeding.
That first night was touch and go. My family and friends turned to their faith for comfort and guidance.
Then I know she's a private person, but I called everybody and I was like, everybody I knew to pray.
Those prayers were answered. Doctors told my family I'd made it out of a pretty impossible situation.
Praise the Lord.
But I wasn't out of the woods just yet. I was then moved to the trauma ICU where another incredible team took over.
So I touched your stomach and I was like, there was no give. I was like, this is really bad.
But there were signs of hope.
You were following commands pretty quickly after you got to us, like the next day, which is not what we expected.
It was soon time to start physical therapy, something I wasn't prepared for.
Physical therapy started with you, I think, about 3rd week, and at that time, sitting you up for even 5 minutes, I think Tanya and I did, and it was excruciating pain for you. I think you ended up being a little over 65 pounds more than your weight. That much fluid, so you're having to shift your body based on all this weight.
As tough as physical therapy was, nothing was going to stop me from working to get my life back. which included my most important job of all, being a mom.
Never said no. You always had determination, always. And whatever I said we were going to do, you did it.
No matter whether it was a good day or a not so good day, I always tried to smile. And I knew I could count on my amazing support system of family and friends.
And I think your dad and your family just pushing you. I think you had the will anyway, but I think that made a big difference. Daryl was holding your hand. They would spend the night.
Whether it was some of the organizations that I'm involved in or my church, that support made a huge difference to both me and my family.
Everyone was praying and helping us, and we definitely had some shoulders to lean on.
Remaining positive was a big part of my recovery.
Your attitude and motivation played a huge role in your recovery. And I do want to say too, one person that you talked about a whole lot, even when you were kind of confused, was Flower Girl.
Yes, I did. You all heard about Flower Girl. There were pictures of Flower Girl in my room.
Each day the staff came into my room, they went above and beyond to make sure that I was not only physically, but mentally and emotionally taken care of as well.
And I remember calling you all my medical angels that night, and just telling you all, you know, you may not realize the impact that you have, the power that you have, but it is truly amazing and awesome.
It's gratifying to see patients come back and visit and go, I had a part in this, and that helps me to keep going as a nurse, because you know there are days that you kind of go, I can't do this anymore, and then it's like seeing you and people that come back, it makes it worth it.
And again, I cannot say enough, Greg, about that staff. And as they said, I call them, and I still do, my medical angels who help take care of me.
We know that it takes a special kind of person to do that kind of work.
It's a long hours, hard work. I mean, you're constantly, like they told, you heard in there, I've gained 65 pounds of fluid. So, and those weren't really big ladies and big people there. And so constantly you're turning people, you have every little thing you needed help with, so.
Well, and they see and deal with some, I'm sure, horrifying things on a daily basis. The fact that their memory of you is so vivid, even to the point where a few of them got a catch in their throat when they were talking about you. Number one, tells you how serious your condition was, and number two, that they care about every patient they see.
They do, and that's what I really want to stress. They care about each and every patient that comes through those doors, because they want to see them get out, they want to see them get better and get back to a normal life. And of course, one of the things we were able to kind of laugh about in there, it's like I said I didn't remember much those 3 weeks, but they said you just wake up and randomly ask about Flower Girl or say something about Flower Girl
and
sometimes.
I don't know if you've spent much time in a hospital, but I don't think pets are usually allowed. Did Flower Girl get some special treatment?
Flower Girl may have gotten some special treatment, but yes, so other than AJ and my family, it's like I would ask about Flower Girl. And tomorrow, Greg, we're going to talk about, because after that, when I left Erlanger, one of the things I was saying, I want to get out of trauma ICU, as you can imagine, being in there for as long as I was. But the next step, I wasn't ready to go home yet. So I had to go to Siskin and had to relearn a lot of things over again. So we're going to talk about that, because that's really an important part. And when people go to physical therapy and rehabilitation, they really don't realize the challenges that lie ahead. So we're going to talk about some of that tomorrow.
That's another special group of people too, because their job is to put you through the paces for your own good and get you out of there.
They would get you. They came in that room and they would get you up early in the morning, and they're like, "Let's go." Yeah.
So happy to have you back.
Thanks, Greg. Now, I get to listen. Greg will probably never let me do this again, but hug him on camera. So it's like, yes, he did.
We'll bring you more news just ahead.